Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. Running a YouTube channel is one of my activities among many others. Earlier, I made a few videos about communication between people. Today, I'd like to talk about the fact that creating content is a full-fledged, complex and versatile job if it is taken seriously and responsibly. In addition, I want to talk a little what it takes to create quality content. I say a little because only a specialist with experience can tell you how it is difficult, expensive, and time-consuming to produce high-quality material. I also want to talk about how I communicate with those people who do not know that I am a YouTuber, because my goal is not wild popularity and making money by any means. And also, I would like to convey to you one more time that video platforms and social networks are great tools for self-realization and self-development. Many people perceive social networks and YouTube as a parallel world where you can dive automatically out of habit for the daily dose of content. As entertainment for creators, since it is entertainment for viewers, while creating quality content is hard work. As entertainment platforms, and not as a tool for learning and analysis. I have already talked about the types of bloggers and the types of content in the video number 21. Today, I will touch on this a little too. Despite the abundance of useless and even harmful, entertaining and stupid information, a small percentage of bloggers provide high quality and free information, and this can and should be used to your advantage for your self-development. But regardless of the type of content, for many bloggers, creating content is a full-fledged and versatile job. And the more complex the content is visually, editorially, and in semantic quality, the more time, labor, money, and professionals are required to create the content. However, most viewers do not think about how difficult it is, but about the fact that a person decided to become a blogger because he wants easy and quick money through advertising and sponsors. He has nothing to do and no goals or guidelines in life. He indulges in narcissism and the audience feeds his ego. He is too self-confident that he is interesting and important person. Unfortunately, this is largely true. The internet space is filled with a huge number of empty people who run meaningless blogs and channels. Most of all content exists due to sponsors, advertising, lies, concealment of information, and psychological tricks. The people running such channels are very far from real ordinary life and people. The average viewer or person who hasn't encountered the internal process of working with content will hardly perceive positively the desire of an ordinary person to become a YouTuber. The world of a popular blogger on YouTube often seems to people to be a separate world, and an ordinary person either will not reach this level or will achieve it in incomprehensible, strange ways, will strongly manifest his negative character traits, and will largely change his social circle and lifestyle. In 90% of cases, a blogger became popular thanks to a sponsor and the promotion of his interests, thanks to the advertising that he shows everywhere without looking at the quality and usefulness of the product, and thanks to empty videos that are made for a large audience. Social networks are full of content that makes no sense but has a beautiful picture and funny situations. Bloggers, sponsors and advertisers are interested in such content because it brings profit to all of them. Nobody thinks about the benefits and meaning of the video, about the impact on the brain and life of the viewer, about the veracity and applicability of the information. The main thing is that sound and visual effects, many angles of shooting, bright scenarios like in soap operas, emotional involvement of the viewer, and various marketing tricks force the viewer to continue watching, and every time till the end, because it is very important for statistics and promotion. This content is made to make money, and running a channel is a business project. This is an investment of millions and millions of dollars. This is a team of script writers, directors, sound producers, editors, makeup artists, and so on. And the blogger himself is a presenter who has certain work he is paid for. I myself have met people who told me, if they pay me money, I will say and do on camera whatever they want. Any nonsense stupidity. I don't care about the meaning, benefits, principles and morals if I have good money. But it is even easier to pay to those who do not understand that the content they participate in production of is just brain-killing slack. In my opinion, some types of content that are safe according to the algorithms of social networks should be banned at international legislative level as causing irreparable harm to the human psyche and all of humanity as a whole. But as long as stupid videos make money, and lots of money, to different groups of people and companies, such content will flourish and sponsors will invest in it. However, there is a small percentage of those people who understand the level of degradation of humanity and are making efforts to slow it down somehow. One of the ways to do this is to spread knowledge and communicate the truth. There are only a few % of such people on platforms, and their content gets thousands of times fewer views than stupid videos. They are much less likely to interest advertisers, and they do not have sponsors. However, the work of such people is even harder than the work of a video creation team which is fully paid to implement a commercial project. There is a huge difference between creating content with funding and a team of employees, where the video is like a professional film, and creating content by one person who does all this work alone, or at most, with a few assistants he pays out of his own pocket too. In case of running a channel by an ordinary person, it is a huge amount of personal work and a huge amount of personal expenses, which most often do not pay off, which I talked about in the video number 21. But in both cases, regardless of the presence of a sponsor and budget, content production is a huge job that requires a huge resource. And I would like people who are not associated with content production to understand this. This is complex work, but viewers perceive it as entertainment and meticulously click on videos without understanding how much effort it took to create content and, most importantly, was it his value at all? All quality videos always have a plot and structure that is carefully planned and thought out, so that the videos have interconnectedness and logic. The visual and auditory sequences are also thought out and selected for ease of presentation of information, for the interest and involvement of the viewer, for the aesthetics and the full understanding of meaning. The presenter, that is, the person who personally presents the information, as I am doing now, always shows his best sides. He is always full of energy, proactive, and interacts with the viewer. The presenter makes sure you like it. For the creator, blogging is not entertainment, as it is for the viewer. This is a lot of work for him. Even the minimum required for high-quality production has many professional and expensive components. A high-quality presenter with stage-speaking skills, gestures, and a well-trained voice. A good presenter can change even the most boring video and the lowest quality of filming. A bunch of expensive equipment. Today, as of March 2024, this is a minimum of $100,000, which is needed as a one-time purchase for static shooting. These are cameras, tripods, lighting equipment, sound equipment. This is the filming location and its decor. These are huge amounts of memory and editing software. Of course, these are fixed costs like operational expenses, depreciation of equipment, additional purchase of equipment, payment for additional services and programs, and so on. But all this hardware is worthless without a person who knows how to use it. Therefore, you need to have certain skills. Be able to arrange light, shades, shadows, backlighting, accents, color temperature, highlights. know how to work with sound insulation, high-quality microphones, echo, rattling, audibility. Be able to adjust cameras, angles, scale, location of objects, distortion of objects, and so on. Have a built-out filming location, for example, the very place you will broadcast from and sit or stand. Both are difficult to do for 36 hours. Yes, that's how long simple filming sometimes lasts. You need to have scenery, a composition that will be appropriate, attractive, and will not overload the eye. You need recognition so that the viewer understands by style that this is his favorite blogger. High-quality rendering is also required, and it can take months or even years. And also visual presentation, that is marketing, advertising, thumbnails, hashtags, descriptions, keywords. All this plays a significant role in the promotion and recognition of the video, in creating a personal brand. I talked about static shooting only, but if this is dynamic shooting, then even greater constant resources are needed. Money, time, logistics, people, everything to organize filming in each location. For dynamic shooting, you need at least 5 cameras, many terabytes of memory, several lighting scenarios, and sound recording capabilities. You need to take control of changes in natural light, external noise, wind, weather, and temperature conditions. It is not so easy to shoot 20 takes if you need to work at minus 20 degrees Celsius in snowfall. If it's a live shoot, then multiply the difficulty by 20, because you have only one try, and everything needs to be prepared perfectly. Weather conditions shouldn't affect the quality of material, no matter how severe they may be. All equipment must work. All light and sound must be adjusted to the specific current position of the sun and street sounds. People must be ready to resolve difficult situations instantly. And all this shouldn't fail at the most crucial moment. And in general, there are only a few hours a day for filming street content in daylight if it is made by one person. If this is a movie, then the light is exposed everywhere, and there is the opportunity to shoot as much time as necessary, as many times until it works. The team will work as long as necessary, and there is a budget for all this. But if this is an ordinary average person, then he only has a couple of hours to shoot in certain lighting, since throughout the day the light changes a lot, and the possibilities are very limited. In addition, the complexity of filming depends on the type of content, since different types of content require different complexity of implementation. Someone simply films their hike in the mountains, without a script, without a prepared speech, showing everything they see. And someone also goes on a hike, and perhaps to the same place in the same weather, but at the same time makes an educational documentary video about the historical, archaeological, climatic events of these places. Both the complexity and budget of the shootings will differ hundreds of times. For example, in order for me to properly video how I work at the site so that the viewer is interested, want to subscribe and return to the channel, I need from 15 to 20 cameras that will work from 14 hours without a break. And I will get a video 1 hour length. That is, to get 60 minutes, I need from 50 terabytes of memory and from 200 hours of shooting. I need to watch through it, choose what I need, and edit it. And it is very desirable to have at least 1 or 2 employees who will shoot, watch, and edit, because it is impossible to do it alone. At the same time, in 99% of cases, simple entertainment content will receive hundreds of times more views and reviews. Why then shoot something complicated if it is expensive and few people need it? Firstly, people are different and have different interests and goals. Secondly, through educational and complex content, humanity learns and develops. Humanity wouldn't have survived if it hadn't studied, analyzed, and accumulated the experience of its ancestors. The need to acquire, analyze, and transmit knowledge is inherent in our genetics. And thirdly, for many people, this is a way of self-realization in society, a way to enrich their lives with knowledge, experience, and impressions, to share them with other people. This is the path to professionalism, and in the future, to earning money. Therefore, people create content on their own, regardless of external conditions and life situations, regardless of popularity, complicity, and profit. They feel an internal need to influence the world, to be a member of society, to share knowledge, and to develop independently. And if social networks and video platforms start promoting quality content, they can bring enormous value and have a significant impact on changing society in a positive way. Therefore, another topic for today's video is what kind of content you support. Are social networks a source of knowledge for you, or is it just a habit of automatically immersing yourself in a parallel virtual world for your daily dose of content? Does the content you watch make sense? What is the benefit for you? Does it make you smarter, better? Do you watch content for the purpose of learning or solving a problem? Or is it just a habit for you to periodically dive into your phone for a couple of hours before bed or during your lunch break? Or do you need to periodically absorb some content just to get at least some information and not to feel lonely and empty, and your phone helps you with this? And please, do not tell me that even to the toilet you go with your phone, or that you scroll through the feed while walking on the streets. The toilet is needed to do all the natural things quickly and return to other things. And a walk is needed for your brain to rest and your body to receive a conscious physical activity. You need to separate these activities and use your phone for specific tasks and not for entertainment. Our habits rule our lives, and I plan to make a video later on the impact of bad habits. Start to perceive social networks as a tool of self-realization. You can find there grains of gold among the dirt in the form of free quality knowledge and even practical training. This provides great opportunities for learning, development, and self-determination in this world. And those people who give this free knowledge should be thanked. Thanked with your donations. There are many empty and expensive courses and training programs where there is more money in advertising than in the quality of training, and people fall for it. And there is free and valuable information from those people who do it because they want to share their knowledge. They want to help to solve problems. They want to make people smarter. Often, their philosophy is honest and free knowledge and equal opportunity for anyone, anywhere in the world. And these people are truly worth appreciating, and much more than those who will spend your money on a pretentious car or another self-promotion. And often, this can be done by simply thanking the person with a donation equal to the sum of a cup of coffee or lunch. I'm sure that for most viewers, this will not have any impact on their quality of life. But it does provide an opportunity to provide useful videos and share knowledge, regardless of the financial situation. Thus, high-quality information will gradually occupy a large niche and become in demand. This changes the ratio of stupid and smart content, and accordingly, generally increases the level of education and awareness of people. As for my attitude towards running my channel, I have already said that people are often biased towards content creators due to the abundance of useless content, and often a priori consider YouTubers as frivolous people who have nothing to do or who make easy money and live a simple life full of entertainment. Therefore, presenting myself primarily only as YouTuber creates not only an incorrect opinion about me, but also often a negative impression of just another blogger who make faces at the camera. Also, often people simply do not understand the point of being a YouTuber. In this case, it also becomes difficult to establish interaction with people, since this misunderstanding creates bias and distance and forms a certain opinion. That is why I do not always and do not immediately tell people that I am a YouTuber. We talk about things that we both understand and are interested in. And information about YouTube is not always relevant or necessary. Adult people who work 14 hours a day do not have time for entertainment content. The older generation uses social networks infrequently and is selective in what information to perceive. And people of my age often assume that having my own land and having a house, finally after 8 months of living in a tent, means that I have plenty of money and time, and talk about visiting me for a couple of weeks for vacation and fun. Although if you look at my content, there is no entertainment at all. Therefore, not all people need to know that I make videos and post them publicly. However, with closer communication, I can tell that I have my channel and what I do therefore, but only understanding that the person knows what I do and doesn't take me lightly. My work on YouTube is just a small part of my life, and it is based on my experience and events from my life. I talk about what I know and what I do, and show events, actions, and difficulties from my life. In addition, I'd like people not to devalue my work, so I need to convey to them that running a YouTube channel is also a job, exactly as I described above. But even then, people do not always perceive it as real work. They often don't know about bloggers who devote their entire lives to the development of YouTube. They don't know how much work, effort, time, money have been invested. And they devalue this work, even if not on purpose. And someone doesn't understand how it is possible to share information for free, do something for free for others, how it is possible to invest time and money on equipment for filming, on tools and materials for work, on courses and advanced training, counting not for a guaranteed salary from the employer, but for some kind of donations that maybe someone will want to donate or maybe not, and the blogger will be left without the means to survive. Therefore, when communicating with people, presenting me as a YouTuber is not my main task. I want people to see me completely as I am and not put a label. Interest in the channel comes after people have talked to me and gotten to know me better. And what's important to me is not that this person subscribes to me, although of course it matters to me, but that this person can see something useful for himself and share it with other people. I would like videos about socially important topics to get as many views as possible, because my talking head, despite the same angle and lack of frame changes, provides knowledge that make you think. If a person has principles, values, and a desire to convey knowledge and experience to people, social networks become a platform that is mutually beneficial for both parties. Both parties have the opportunity to realize themselves, express themselves, become more educated and smarter, make new friends, get advice or solution to their problem. I could say that all this is free, but no. The creator of quality content often doesn't receive attention and payment for his work and time. In addition, he needs to carefully filter what he says for censorship. In his turn, the viewer is often uninterested in complex content. But even if it is interesting, firstly, it is hampered by a huge amount of advertising. Secondly, it is difficult to find high-quality information. And thirdly, there is such a thing as the collection and analysis of personal data. But this is not a subject for discussion in this video. Therefore, appreciate quality work. Do not take it for granted. This is a lot of work if the content is valuable and meaningful. Start figuring out what content makes sense and the effort, time, and money invested. Choose what to spend your time on and do not forget to thank the blogger in any way available to you. He has invested a lot of resources in preparing information for you and making it accessible and pleasant to watch. Learn to figure out whether a person brings value to the world. Why is this necessary? Because the world is deteriorating. The world is at war. The world is becoming poorer, stupider, and angrier. And you can influence it. Start doing not for the sake of money and your own desires, but for the sake of the future you want to live in. Start valuing your time and your actions. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Ranch. Wish you all the best and see you soon.